In this video clip, we will be covering the introductory portion of Unit 3, that is metrics and determinants. Now let's start with the definition of matrices. So what is matrix here? Matrix is a rectangular array of numbers arranged into rows and columns enclosed by a bracket. So your brackets can be square bracket or open circular bracket here. So now let's talk about what is row. Rows are those numbers that are in the horizontal line, and columns are numbers that are arranged in the vertical line. So if you look at this matrix E, that is A11, A12, A21, A22, these four elements here represents the entries of matrix A. Now you should also know what is A11, A12, A21, A22. Now this subscript numbers here, A11, 11 represents the column, row and the column. Now first number in this represents row, second number represents the column. That means A11 means the element of first row and first column. A12 element of first row, first column. Now next we have types of matrix, that is first one is row matrix. Row matrix means a matrix having exactly one row. If a matrix is having exactly one row, 5 4 1, in this matrix 5 4 1, we have just one row, so it's called as row matrix. Similarly, column matrix, if a matrix is having exactly one column, that's called as column matrix. So here in this example, A equal to 2 4 5, just one column. Next we have zero or null matrix. If all the entries in the matrix is zero, then it's called as null or zero matrix. It is usually denoted by letter O. So next matrix is square matrix. So if all the rows and columns are equal in a matrix, it's called as square matrix. So if you look at the example here, matrix A has 2 rows and 2 columns. Similarly, matrix B has 3 rows and 3 columns. So these two are square matrix. Now next we have diagonal matrix. A diagonal matrix should be a square matrix first, and if all the elements of the leading diagonal, if you look at the example here, all the elements of the leading diagonal must not be 0. Rest all the entries or element must be 0. So example A, first example, A equal to 6 4 5. So the leading diagonals out here are not 0. So this is a diagonal matrix. Similarly, matrix B, if you look here, all the elements in the leading diagonal are not 0, but one can be 0. We can have two zeros here, but all the elements should not be 0 here. So 6 0 5. Next we have identity or unit matrix. A square matrix is said to be identity or unit matrix if all the main diagonal elements are 1. So in the example I2, see 1 1, main leading diagonal elements are 1 1 and rest all are 0. So rest elements should be 0. We have, it is usually denoted by I. So we write it at I2 for 2 by 2, we write it as I2, for 3 by 3, we write it as I3, 1 0 0. Next we have scalar matrix. A diagonal matrix with diagonal elements are all equal except one. So what you need to understand here is, in scalar matrix, it's also a diagonal matrix, it's also a square matrix, but the leading diagonal must not be 1. It must have equal same values in the leading diagonal. Now if you look at the example here, matrix A equal to 5 5 5, all these diagonal elements are equal and they are not 1. Rest of the elements are 0. So this is a scalar matrix.